Good morning, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Health Discourse with Sakshi and Sushant. So, good morning, Sushant. How is it going?
Ammonia. Very well.
So, today we are going to talk about protein and how much it is, recommended by a lot of people. If you see these days, every other person in the fitness industry, whether in the nutrition industry, they are recommending a certain dose of protein. Some people they say that point 0.5 that is the value. Yeah, point. Some
Point
is
0.5
saying
gram, point 0.5 gram per kg of body
yeah,
weight.
yeah, per zero point 0.5 gram per kg of body weight. Somebody is saying 1 gram per kg of body weight, right? Somebody is saying 1.8. I mean, these are certain values which we are uh, on social media. Everyone is posting every now and then. So, Sushant, please shed some light on the fact that how much of this is authentic and is it actually worth it? Because I just feel that, defining a certain value for a large group of people, it is just impossible because everyone's biology is unique.
Yeah. So, so first thing is that to understand historically, everyone was protein deficient, right? And our ancestors never consumed protein powders and protein shakes, right? Or didn't have too much of protein, and they never had chronic diseases like type 2 diabetes, obesity, and cardiovascular disease, a lot of these things, right? So again, we have become obsessed with protein. We think for everything, protein is the solution, right? And I have seen a lot of not only, as you rightly pointed, not only the fitness companies or the nutritionists, right, but also the new section of the new sector of FMCG wellness companies who are selling uh, protein powders, protein rich snacks. Everywhere if you see people are eating high protein snacks, high protein peanut butter, high protein, chocolates, high protein powders, and the list goes on, right? So these all are, I don't blame them, frankly. These all are based on one basic premise, right? That all these recommendations of either 0.5, 0.8, 1 gram, 2 gram, 2.5 gram, 3 gram per kg of body weight is based on population studies, right? Vast population across the world, the US, India, Asia, other parts, right? And these have been recommended based on the population studies, which assume every individual as an average healthy being, right? Which is not the case, right? Because every our biology is as unique as our fingerprint, right? 95% of the microbiome is unique. You and me share not more than 5% of the microbiome, right? Even just think about it. You and me have same probably if couple has same dinner, eat same thing, right? Their body reacts differently. Their bowel movements are different. Their serotonin levels are different. Their irritable levels are different, right? Their hunger appetite is different, right? So you can't uh, follow a same rule of okay, you need to lose weight, probably eat 1 gram, 2 gram per kg of body weight, right? Again, there are multiple factors has to be considered. Everyone has a unique biology, right? So from the time we eat the protein or the amino acids, right? Again, there are multiple questions here. When you talk of protein, there are, I think nine essential amino acids, right? Right, which one you need, how much you need. These all are pertinent questions no one asks, right? And then probably I will share with couple of amino acids how it could harm your biology, right? If taken in excess. So whenever we consume, the amino acids interact with our oral microbiome, right? It goes to the stomach where it is digested, a lot of it is digested, and it confer health benefits because we need protein for a lot of cellular processes, for our brain health, for our muscle performance, for our energy. A lot of factors, protein comes into play, right? But the fact is that you need to see the multiple factors. So whether you have the right set of digestive enzymes, motility agents, right? How much you're consuming, which particular strain you're consuming, right? Which particular amino acid you're consuming, right? At what point in time in the day or the night you're consuming, right? Uh, Multiple factors, right? So essentially, uh, if your body is not able to absorb or metabolize the protein in small intestine efficiently, a lot of it goes to your gut, right? Now, these microbes in the gut do not know, what protein is. They start fermenting it, and they ferment into a lot of metabolites which are essentially harmful. For instance, ammonia, Putrescine, p-Cresol, phenylacetylglutamine, TMAO, right? There's these H2L, there's a lot of these metabolites which have an harmful impact on a biology. For instance, phenylacetylglutamine, right, which is a byproduct of your microbes metabolizing phenylalanine. Again, phenylalanine is an essential amino acid, right? So PAG is a nutrient risk factor for cardiovascular disease, right? Similarly, p-Cresol, which is a byproduct of tyrosine, right? P-Cresol is said to suppress your GLP-1 production, right? So essentially, if you see, there are multiple factors. So starting point, okay, you take 0.8 or 1 gram or 1.2 or 1.5 grams, right? That's a starting point, but that should not be a rule, right? For you to follow, every day, every meal, having that much of protein, it is throwing bombs inside your gut, right? Because you have to consider what is whether you have digestive enzymes or not, which enzymes are there, which specific amino acid you're consuming, what quantity, right? So when we at Gene Freakletics, we look at, entire biology, right? We look at various things. We look at protein fermentation levels. So by looking at protein fermentation, we can tell you whether the protein is digested efficiently in the small intestine or not, right? So if the protein fermentation levels are really, really high, probably, a lot of this is moving to your gut. Probably if you are eating excess, then it will move to the gut, right? Uh, because our body needs a specific amount at a particular point in time, and then goes to the gut, right? So a lot of people think guts, gut se aate to wo it excretes to feces aisa nahi hota, so it's not like that. It actually, it goes in the gut, and a lot of these microbes, now there's huge science behind it, nobody can negate it, right? So microbes in the gut metabolize these protein and convert into harmful stuff, right? So we look at protein fermentation level, which tells whether you have the right set of enzymes, probably, or enzymatic. We look at enzymatic activity as well, right? So to let you know, probably if your protein is well digested in small intestine, not even, if it's that the case, probably it's even 1 gram would be worse per kg of body weight, right? If you don't have the right set of enzymes, right? That is there is one pathway. We do look at ammonia production, right, which is again byproduct glutamine. We look at indoxyl sulfate, right, which is a byproduct of you know tryptophan, right? So tryptophan can be converted into serotonin or converted into indole derivatives of indoxyl sulfate, right? And then indoxyl sulfate, indole acetic acid, right? Indole acetic acid is beneficial. Indoxyl sulfate is harmful. It is said to trigger. It is a uremic toxin said to cause chronic kidney disease as well, right? And that's why we link chronic kidney disease with protein consumption, right? We look at your p-Cresol consumption, which is again a byproduct of tyrosine. We look at your TMA, which is a byproduct of choline. We look at phenylacetylglutamine, which is a byproduct of phenylalanine, right? So there are multiple. Again, as I mentioned, there is a lot of research around there, which clearly shows that p-Cresol excess production of p-Cresol is again a uremic toxin suppresses GLP-1. Again, we all know GLP-1 is set to is one of the hormone or peptide which actually regulates your satiety with the blood sugar response, which is plays a key role in maintaining your weight management in even preventing obesity and type 2 diabetes, right? And we have seen a lot of these companies actually now selling these GLP-1 drugs, right? So again, pre-Cresol trigger suppresses GLP-1 production, right? TMAO is a risk factor for cardiovascular disease, even the fat storage, right? And I mentioned about PAG, which is an independent risk factor for chronic kidney disease as well, right? It is a wrong notion that you should consume a standard particular gram per kg of body weight, right? Which is really really wrong. Okay, so that's again every individual body is different. So you have to understand your biology at a molecular level. How your microbes is interacting with your body organs, what your microbes are doing, what metabolites they're secreting, what biochemical reactions are performed by various microbes. So there are multiple things you have to look at, right? So there's huge data points at a molecular level, in terms of what genes are being expressed when you eat protein, which is not being digested, or you're eating too much of protein, right? So it's a wrong notion having protein is a solution for type 2 diabetes or obesity, right? Or probably you should eat this much of protein to regulate your blood sugar. This is all standard things which may or may not work for you. So you have to understand your biology, right? So how much of protein you have to take is determined by various factors which I have discussed during this, which I have mentioned. Yeah.
I think that is something, we really need. We have discussed this before that protein in excess is harmful. And yet again, here we are still, trying to decode these things related with protein. And
Mm.
also, what I have seen that there are so many disease management companies which claim to
Mm.
cure diabetes and cure PCOS and whatnot. And what we have seen is that their standard dietary regime is they recommend protein, right? They always recommend protein. So is there some mechanism which is actually true that this protein can actually cure diabetes? Is it actually true?
No, it's not. So you take protein, you think so the basic premise of this is that you think protein is going to improve your satiety, right? To some extent, it is possible, right? Do create a feeling of fullness, but again, it is not a standard thing which you could mention that okay, take protein, it will reverse diabetes, right? We have seen excess protein, so you can't work in isolation, right? You can't say, okay, I have obesity, I have diabetes, I have to take 2 grams, 3 grams of per kg body weight of protein, and then you will start having digestive issues, you will start having it will trigger autoimmune issues. You will have a lot of these high protein fermentation levels, increase the risk of cardiovascular disease, right? Increase the risk of chronic kidney disease. Even it could flip, it could backfire because if there's a high production of pre-cortisol, it could lead to trigger of suppressing GLP-1, which again is linked to obesity and type 2 diabetes. A low level of GLP-1 is linked to obesity and type 2 diabetes, right? So it's a misnomer, right? And when it comes to again, diabetes is a multifactorial condition. We have discussed this yesterday also that nitric oxide is a key player, key proponent in regulating your insulin response, right? It is a signal which tells your blood flow to go to cell membrane, clear the glucose out of the circulation, right? So it plays a key role how cellular health communicates, right? Now again, I'll just a bit of deviate here from this, right? But if you see, we know there are two pathways to produce nitric oxide. Oral microbiome we have discussed through green vegetables, right? And we know that nitric oxide also improves your exercise performance, right? But again, the second pathway, which uses oxygen, right, as one of the component to convert L-arginine into L-citrulline nitric oxide, right? Again, L-arginine is a semi-essential amino acid, right? It is produced by the body via urea cycle. So you don't need to, when you consume too much of L-arginine, it actually into production of superoxide, which causes oxidative stress, which causes again uncoupling of nitric oxide synthase, which causes nitric oxide, deficiency, and it's linked to type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and a lot of other chronic health issues, right? So it is a wrong thing. Coming to diabetes and obesity, what we should focus is the impact of, polyphenols. right? So polyphenols, or what are polyphenols? So people say eat a lot of polyphenols, right? So let me give a brief about polyphenols today, right? And that's why I'm including, because you can't work in isolation. You have to see, okay, you need protein, right? We need for cell process. So how much you need, it all depends upon your unique biology. So do not go by population studies. Do not go what your trainer or your nutritionist is telling, or your doctor is telling. You need to understand your biology. Understand, there are 25,000 genes, 2 million human genes, 2 million microbial genes, right? We are 99% microbial. They every micro performing more than 3,000 of biochemical reactions. Every at one point in time, there are more than 100,000 genes are being expressed, right? There are 30,000 plus molecules going to do this. Has a lot of data which takes place inside the body at a molecular level. So no doctor or nutritionist records that, right? So it's all assumption and anecdotal evidences of guesswork, right? Or just going by the flow, right? That's what is happening. Right? So when it comes to obesity and diabetes, one of the factors, I'm not saying it's the only thing, right? It's one of the factors, since we are discussing about the role of protein in obesity and diabetes, and what I could recommend in terms of whether you understand, if your protein fermentation level is pretty high, or your body has a lot of microbes producing a lot of these, different metabolites which are harmful, right? So how we balance it out, right? So again, polyphenols is sort of phytochemicals, right? And which have diverse structure and different molecular weights, right? From phenolic acid you know, to different sort of, these energy tannins, right? Energy tannins and a lot of these polyphenols, right? Again, energy tannin is have a very high molecular weight. I'm talking of ETZ vegetarian specifically. This is really beneficial in regulating your hypoglycemic response, improving your pancreatic beta cell function, right? Again, we know pancreatic beta cell is one of the cells which releases insulin, right? So uh, again, uh, energy tannin is again something, which what it does is, it it is converted into ellagic acid in small intestine. Again, ellagic acid does not confer any benefits, right? It is unable to reach in circulation in certain concentration, required concentration. So again, here comes the role of gut microbes. So the gut microbes actually metabolize ellagic acid coming from G-tannins, right, into urolithin, right? Again, urolithin is which provides which regulates your pancreatic beta cell function, which helps you improve your hypoglycemic response, right? We understand hyper is high glycemic, hypo is low, right? So if in terms of people who have type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetic have an high glycemic, hyperglycemic response or hyperinsulinemia, right? So hypoinsulinemia, hypoglycemic response, improving the pancreatic beta cell function, right? It is all done by this gluten A. So very simple hacks, right? Foods such as pomegranate, strawberry, raspberry, walnuts, right? All these are high in vegetarians, right? And if you have right sort of gut microbes, because 95% of the polyphenols or antioxidants are metabolized by your gut microbiome, not responders. The gut microbes play a key role in providing urolithin A, right, which have a beneficial impact on your metabolic health, right? So if you don't have that sort of microbes active expressing that sort of genes, probably how much of pomegranate or strawberry you take, right, is not going to help. Right? So you need to understand your body, you need to decode the downstream functions of your gut microbiome, what genes are being expressed by them, what biochemical activities they are doing, and how they're interacting with your pancreas, and how insulin is being secreted, right? So do not fall for this, things that take high protein diet, it will help you hive off diabetes. You don't know what bombs you're throwing inside your gut. You are going to open up avenues for autoimmune disorders, for digestive issues, for a lot of other chronic health issues. Even I'm just telling you this because a lot of people do not know, and a lot of people do not understand the role of oral microbiome. Again, nitric oxide we know is produced by oral microbiome, right? One of the pathways. And again, periodontal disease or gum disease is linked to type 2 diabetes. So people who have gum disease have a higher risk of type 2 diabetes and vice versa, right? And again, these polyphenols are really, really beneficial in overcoming periodontal disease, gingivitis, and maintaining our oral health, right? So have you found someone telling you, oh, eat a lot of protein, it will help you get rid of gum disease, right? So you don't have to adopt a reductionist biology approach, right? So, so people may say, people may not agree, we have to take high protein diet. It has regulated it has reduced my HbA1c. You are just suppressing your HbA1c. If your HbA1c, you anyways cannot reverse diabetes. It's all misnomer. It's all, wrong marketing tactics used by all these companies to sell their products, right?
I would also like to add here that, they also sometimes recommend you a diet with low carb and, low fat, when actually we do know that fats are very important for our health, right? So, but that doesn't mean that keto is
let let
also the
let me
good.
let me add here. So from a nutrition, because the nutrition, the way you and me understand nutrition, right? I don't know anyone on the earth even understand that side, especially in India, right? So there are two things here. One is the macronutrients which you are focusing on: protein, carbs, fat, blah blah blah, right? Fiber and whatever it is, right? Then there are various food is a sack of 30,000 plus molecules. There are various vitamin, minerals, antioxidants, oxalate, various other molecules, bioactive molecules, which are interacting with your microbiome, with your cells, with genes expressed by your microbiome, whether it is oral microbiome, right? So when we talk of carbohydrates, it has given bad rep, right? What I refer carbohydrates with is microbiota accessible carbohydrates. It means carbohydrates which are high in resistant starch, which are high in dietary fiber, right? Foods which are high in antioxidants, right? These are very, very essential part of your diet. Fats, right? We need fats, or we don't take too much of saturated fat, don't take too much of, don't take trans fat at all, right? You need to have unsaturated fat, right? Fats are really, really beneficial. It is required for various biological processes, right? You need to have a balanced diet. You can't have too much of protein, replacing your carbohydrate with protein. You are not feeding your gut microbiome, right? For instance, when you think, my blood sugar is not going to rise because I'm eating less carb, I'm eating low carb, probably, what happens is your microbiome needs microbial as well as carbohydrates, right? If you don't feed them, right, they start go to a gut lining and start releasing the sugar molecule called fructose, which raises your blood sugar level. So it's all misnomer. So I think we decode this pathway in terms of when
Yes,
we.
I do remember we had this decoded this pathway. Also, Sushant, I have this curiosity that whenever you are craving for some kind of food, let's say sometimes, with the weather change, we crave for fatty foods, let's say during the monsoons and all, but it is actually not recommended during that time, right? And sometimes one might crave for grains, breads, fermented breads, sodos, right? And some people, sugar cravings is something that's a completely different topic because I know that fungus is involved in that, the candida albicans and all these things, right? So
That
that is
is
a
that is all
yeast.
linked. See, sugar cravings. One simple things. GLP-1 is secreted by your microbiome when they produce acetate, right? So if your microbiome is not producing enough short chain fatty acids such as steroid, you will have low level of GLP-1, PAY, and you will have sugar cravings. Right? That's a simple formula, right?
And
Coming
even
on to you,
candida is when you have excess of
yeah,
candidas, so they
yeah.
will, because
So
it's there in
candida,
the mouth and it's there in the gut as well, right?
yeah. So candida feeds on sugar, right? Candida loves sugar, right? So
And UTIs is something which is caused by candidas, right?
UTI, type 2 diabetes, Candida
Yeah.
overgrowth, right? Even they are certain yeast which also of fungi, right? Which also uh, leads to histamine intolerance, right? Which is again one of the autoimmune issue, which is also linked to type 2 diabetes. We do all look at all these factors when we predict the onset and progression of type 2 diabetes. Right? Coming on to your question, the food cravings again, if you're craving it is your microbiome. So understand what you're eating, you're not feeding yourself, you're feeding those microbiome, whether it's oral or gut microbiome or general microbiome, right? You're feeding them. So if there is food cravings, it is change of weather, it is a change of circadian rhythm of your microbiome as well and you as well, right? So there's a lot of these things changes. For instance, you may consume a lot of you know kidney beans in the winters, but in summers it backfires. It leads to a lot of bloating, constipation, right? Uh, So again, it is all with season your body's requirement for different set of molecule food substance changes, right? And again, that's why it is really, really important to understand your biology, right? Every season, your microbiome shifts, your metabolic functions, your biochemical functions, your biochemical activities changes, right? Your bodies or your microbiome's demand for food changes, right? So you can't have the same thing, have diversity in your food, have a lot of vegetables, different colors of vegetable. For regulating your insulin response, have a lot of green vegetables, which could be converted by oral microbiome into nitrite and nitric oxide, so two electron reduction, which is has a vasodilation effect, right? These are the few things you have to understand. Do not fall for this all high protein diets, and from type 2 diabetes, this is all a fraud. HbA1c reverse, suppressing HbA1c or lineage is not equal to reversal of diabetes, right? It can only to some extent, if you eat a right sort of food, it could help you regulate your biology and maybe get off the medication. Getting off medication is not equal to reversal of diabetes, right? Your diabetes reversal, or the person who don't have diabetes, is your insulin response is regulated. Your pancreas is insulin, it binds to insulin receptors at various cells, including liver cells, fat cells, right? And all these signaling cascades at your nitric synthase, where if your body is producing nitric oxide, it releases glutathione. Glutathione goes to membrane, clear the glucose of the circulation, and that's how you have a regulated insulin response, right? This is the basic of it. Whatever doctors do not understand, whatever they don't understand microbiome. So again, they are just beating out the bush.
I think this was a pretty intense discussion about protein. I'm sure a lot of fitness folks might get offended, but that's the reality of it. Because,
It's not about offended. You have to take the right choices. You don't know. See, a lot of things happen inside the body, right? The biggest issue in the chronic disease, doctors say, you have chronic issue, we can't reverse it, you can only manage it, there is no solution, blah, blah, blah. Or some companies saying we are reversing it with whatever wrong marketing tactics they're using, right? Or wrong claims they're using, right?
because
Thing is,
protein as a business, it's a $1 billion it's a $1 billion industry, right? And it is soon
say
going to become
healthcare,
$1 trillion.
healthcare has to
No,
be
I'm
measured in
talking.
by.
I'm only talking about the protein industry, where they produce this artificial whey proteins and all this powders and artificial stuff. So I think it's very important for the young people to understand what you are exactly putting inside you, right? You are
Yeah.
ingesting something which is going to ruin your health going forward, your fertility. Your whole life is dependent upon, the 20s is a very important part of our lives, in the 20s, whatever nourishment we are giving, the teenage and the 20s.
Mhm.
If you're not nourished well enough, your life further is going to definitely suffer. That's what I have
Uh,
seen with a lot of
I,
people.
I'll put it very clear for everyone listening here, right? This is all bullshit that you can only manage disease. The problem is that you have to understand this. Yeah, if you are dealing with the disease, obviously not possible to reverse it, right? But you have to understand the disease starts manifesting 2 decades before the actual symptoms start to show up, right? There are a lot of signals are changing inside change in your biology and chemistry, which happens at a molecular cell level, right? Right, and these signals which your body is releasing is asymptomatic, hard to detect, right? So till now, there have been doctors do not know, cannot decode these signals. No diagnostic test can decode these signals, right? So you don't know whether you're developing, although you're developing disease, you don't know you're developing, right? Most of them asymptomatic, there's no signals here, right? So again, by the time these symptoms show up, it's a post-disease symptoms, right? So you end up managing them or suppressing them because you had no technology or no arms and ammunition in place to actually, or no resources at your disposal to actually measure these asymptomatic hypertrophic signals and prevent them or suppress or eliminate them, right? To right mechanism of action, before the disease develops. So that is the basic of it, right? And again, that's why now we have all the technologies. Now doctors have to fall in line with it, right? Because doctors The problem with the doctor community is that it is not their fault, right? They never had information on all these signals, right? They rely on diagnostic tests and diagnostic investigations, right? Where they it does not tell you. So probably if someone has a cardiovascular disease, do these tests measure TMAO level or PG levels, right? It has never measured. They just measure few C-reactive protein and certain stuff, right? And or maybe your cholesterol level, right? Your cholesterol has nothing to do with cardiovascular disease, right? So as we discussed yesterday, 50% of people who have heart attack have normal cholesterol levels, right?
Yes, I think with this we come to the end of this discussion. And Sushant, I think for the benefit of all our listeners, I would really urge you to share a small glimpse of how what is your protein intake like during the day.
See, first of all, I don't count calories, right? I don't count how much protein I'm taking, right? I generally go by my what my microbiome asks me to do. So it's normal. Probably it won't be more than given my weight is somewhere around 85 kgs. So it won't be more than 40-50 grams, right? I eat a lot of green vegetables. I eat a lot of antioxidants, right? I eat good amount of fat. I eat good amount of fiber, right? I don't fall for protein too much of eating too much of protein because people do not know vegetables also have protein and acids, right? Some people say, okay, it has low bioavailability. Please share me the research where it shares it has low bioavailability. Your vegetables are metabolized by your microbiome. So, you don't need to deliberately put protein powders into it, right? Yeah, so I take that much of which can give me enough vitamins. Vitamin B12, comes from animal-based protein, right? So I eat that much that gives me enough of all the essential nutrients my body needs in a particular day, right? So it's
I think that was a pretty interesting advice that you have given by sharing your personal regime. And also, I am curious about a few topics that I have in mind for our next talk. So, chickpeas versus plant-based versus animal-based. I mean, this is something which people really want to know, right? So maybe we will discuss this in our coming talks, right? And because a lot of people say that plant-based has a low bioavailability, and then animal-based has a different problems.
see
So
from that perspective, you have to also understand one thing. I just give a trailer of this, right? So chickpeas, specifically chickpeas, we'll discuss this, but uh, chickpeas, how it is processed. For instance, if it's unprocessed, it is really, it gives a lot of nutrients, right? If it is industrially processed, the package when you buy, the labels do not mention, a lot of
yeah,
things, right?
yeah.
Right. So there is a lot of differences in how a particular food is processed, right? After being processed, how it is being metabolized inside your body and what it is being converted into, right? So there are multiple things you have to consider when you talk of plant-based, animal-based protein, right? So probably that we'll discuss later. Yeah.
So thank you, Sushant, for such an intense discussion, and it was
Mm.
really enlightening for everyone, for all the
Mm.
listeners. And thank you to our listeners for listening to our talks time and again. So you can find us on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and yes, on our YouTube channel, of course. So thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.